Hi, welcome. This is going to be part 2 of my Throw Rock postmortem. So, the first part was pretty much just an overview of the game and a little bit about the development process. This episode's going to be an in-depth look at all of the levels, how they came together, and just whatever comes up from that. So, by necessity, this is going to involve a full playthrough of the game, so spoilers ahead. If you're going to play the game yourself, maybe don't watch this yet until you have, but anyway. So, this ended up with 16 levels total. Let's see, I was going to... let's actually do this. This will be fine. I'm going to delete my save just so we can see the experience of unlocking levels and stuff. So that's what the delete save screen looks like. So now if I go to level select, I just have the intro level. So it's in orange here because it's not clear. So anyway, intro level. Not one of the first levels built. I knew I needed one. I sort of went on a walk and thought about what exactly I needed to introduce here in the intro. Thought a little while about structure and came up with just a few mechanics, basically. Basics of rock manipulation were the very first thing to show here. So I definitely needed a scroll just to kind of hint that, okay, there is an action button. You should have seen the controls somewhere. If you have no idea what they are, then hopefully you'll be prompted to press escape and look at the menu. What I learned is that I could have thought of this if I'd thought about it enough, but yeah, so escape is a button that can seem dangerous to press. Like, it might just close the game if you don't know what it does. And this does a cold opening. You open the game and you just instantly hear like this, music playing, level going, so you don't ever see a menu unless you go out of your way to find one. So sometime later in development I added this scroll, just because I wanted to somehow encourage people to look for a menu, because, you know, control configuration, etc. So yeah, all this stuff reachable if you don't interact with the rock. Anyway, yeah, so basic idea is you start here, press a direction to see, okay, player moves, that's me, the little pink circle, press action button. Alright, what's the action button? Well, if you read the itch page, you'll know it's X on your keyboard, or if you happen to have connected a gamepad, that comes pre-configured. So Xbox and DualShock 4 controllers come pre-configured for this. Those are the ones I bothered to put in defaults for. If you want to go set up another, yeah, this is what the screen looks like when I have a gamepad connected. If you want to set up another gamepad, this mostly works. There's a little bit of jank, and, you know, what's B2? What's A0? This is just sort of doing the raw driver response for what those controls are. But, you know, I can, if I'm on the keyboard and I press enter and I press my my thing to the left, that's now, okay, so button 2 is D-pad left on this controller. Okay, yeah, it's a little weird. With the default bindings, I get both the button and the axis, so now I can either use the stick or the gamepad for this. Anyway, this isn't a video about the control screen, but it's part of the level design, since here I am encouraging to look at it. Anyway, yeah, so gamepad support, default setup for certain controllers. I'll probably work on that a little bit more because it's kind of janky as it is, but it works. You can use any gamepad you want here. Anything that your computer will recognize as a gamepad can be configured for this. But, you know, keyboard controls too, everybody knows what those are, so I just put them on the page. Anyway, so yeah, so you're taught to pick up, drop rocks, and then you get over here, you probably want another rock. If you just do nothing, don't investigate the scrolls, just try to go forwards, you'll discover that those trapdoors drop. You might, at some point, discover that they don't drop if you aren't carrying a rock. If you don't discover it here in this level, you'll discover it pretty soon. Anyway, yeah, so that realization is sort of forced in a moment. So yeah, here's a suspicious-looking wall. Here's a place to try out throwing. So controls for throwing, I thought a lot about these, and where I landed is acceptable, but not the best, maybe. So I'm holding the action button right now. I should totally have some sort of visual indication that I'm holding that. I can press a direction, and, you know, I'm just holding the action button now. I release it, rock throws. And then, without doing anything else, I make some inputs. You see this little preview get a little shorter as the rock sort of consumes its throw preview, and then just stops when it hits the surface. So, you know, it'll consume the whole throw preview if I'm doing that. Anyway, yeah, so I just kind of wanted this section of the level to be a little playground to learn basic rock manipulation and controls and stuff. So now there are 2 rocks. There's an inventory limit of 1. Try to pick up a second rock, you just can't. So yeah, you want to get both of these rocks across, right? So you pick one up, walk across, and oh no, I can't reach my other rock. Oh, I should have a scroll here that says how to undo. And that'd be the perfect place to put the information that you can reset, and you can also undo a reset. Okay, this is a great place for that, because this is the first place where you might want undo. Okay, so anyway, so your bridge goes away, you have to think of, okay, well if I throw this rock over, then I can take both. Anyway, yeah, so, get both rocks on the side here. Now, you could, if you say, well, I want to keep that bridge there and throw this way, you might discover that if a rock lands on a rock, one of them gets destroyed. Technically speaking, it's the one in flight that gets destroyed, not the one on the ground, but it really doesn't make any difference which one it is. But technically, if you were curious, the trivia is the one in the air is the one that gets destroyed. Anyway, so, you don't need this bridge anymore, so you can just drop it. So then, right, next thing is there's an obstacle here, mouse over mechanisms to see wiring. So if you want to know what a plate does without interacting with it, you can use your mouse. At some point, it would be great if I would insert another level in here to go into more detail about... I never explain what the colors mean. I don't explain anything more about, like, anything. You just kind of have to figure it out. So for a more polished version of this game, I would definitely have a more explicit tutorial for the colors of wiring. I mean, there's only one color here in this puzzle, but you encounter more later, and you're just kind of left on your own to figure it out. Yeah, okay, so little things that I wish could have been better, but you know, there's only a week to work on this. Okay, so anyway, yeah, you want to get through here, so you put down both your rocks, and great, I'm in here. There's one obstacle in the way of the exit. Mouse over this, you see those both are affected by it, step on it, and you can see what it does. And obviously you can't get there from there. Leaving the rock doesn't help, so your only option is to throw it. And from this distance, it's perfect. If you don't know about the wait button, which is taught in the next level, you can just move back and forth, and there we go, that's level 1. So I have a second instance of the game running right here. This one contains older versions of the levels that have gone through revisions post-release. So this was the original intro level. So same scroll here, same rock here. I didn't have the action word in here, so just hold and press in a direction to throw. That wasn't the clearest thing. So I had the word action. I added the thing to hint that a menu exists. Anyway, yeah, so less explicit tutorialization there. Looks pretty much the same through this section. Mouse over mechanisms to see wiring. Okay, that's blue instead of yellow now, because the wire is different. Then if I mouse over the door, some other stuff is happening. So this part of the puzzle plays out the same, but then once you get in here, things are a little different. Both of these are closed. This one opens that one, this one opens this one. Yeah, sorry, since I don't explain it in the game, I'll explain it here. Blue means open, yellow means toggle, red means close. And these are a little different from Drod pressure plates in that when they go down, they attempt to take their action as colored. So a pressure plate going down tries to open the door. If the door is already open, it does nothing. A pressure plate releasing, which is wired to open, will close its door, or at least attempt to. If it's closed, it'll do nothing. So yeah, if it's a close, it'll attempt to close on press, attempt to open on release, and yeah, and if it's a toggle, it'll just toggle whatever state it is in. And this will come up later in a level. Anyway, yeah, so if I start messing with these plates, that one just opens that gate, this one opens that gate, but then when I step off it, it does that weird thing. And now I'm kind of locked in here. I can leave this rock here, but, you know, kind of just nothing's happening right now. So this level was way too hard for an intro. The way this had to be solved was, first of all, you gotta pick up this rock without interacting with this plate, go back out here, throw it, pick up one of these, doesn't matter which, and get off this plate in time to have this close before that goes down, because that opens both the doors on press and closes them on release. So in that way you cheat 2 rocks in here, have them both, and be able to get to the exit. Yeah, so... the game was actually released in this state, with this this level, but this was one of the first things I changed. I think like same day, next day as release, I removed this pressure plate and just did the simplified version. And that was definitely a good change, because that level was way too much of a stumbling block for the first time. Anyway, so level 2 is called Wait. I switched back to the modern levels version here. Yeah, so just pause screen shows the level number and level name. I believe if I looked at my level select here in this version, since I hadn't deleted my save when I launched it and it read my save file, this will just have all the levels open. So I'll avoid doing that just in case, you know. Intro, wait. Okay, so this is called Wait because it teaches about the wait command. Press wait button to pass a turn. And if you haven't figured out what the wait button is, you didn't read the controls on the web page, aren't going and looking, you know, you can just smash your keyboard until you figure out which button it is, because it's forced here. So I step on this plate, and I'm just stuck. Can't do anything except throw, and the only productive direction looks like to the north. So yeah, the distance of 6 is very important here. So you measure 6 tiles. This is why I added this cursor, so you could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Press the wait button, which on my gamepad is the left face button, X button on an Xbox controller, and then that lets me through. This also sort of automatically shows that when I step off this, that toggles, and I'm on a closed door right now, so it demonstrates what happens when you're on a closed door. You raise up with it, and you can keep on walking. I could walk left, and I can do that repeatedly, and it's fine. Anyway, yeah. So I'm on this side, I pick this up, plate releases, and I end up on this door. Once again, I can go back and forth safely. Then you get here. Main mechanism of the level here. It might be more pleasing if I rewired these to be the other way around, so that this affects that and this affects this. Maybe I'll do that at some point in a future revision. Here you want to throw 2 rocks. I'm standing on one. Something I want to add is a little indicator for standing on rock, because right now I can't tell from looking at this screen that I'm standing on a rock. Yeah, that's something I would like to add. I'm not sure what I'd put there, but something. Anyway, so you want to throw both your rocks. Maybe what you'll try first is to... Whoops, okay, sure, I picked it up. Maybe what you try first is to throw to the north, and just kind of see what happens. You wait here, that toggles that, okay? So, you want to toggle the one that's close to you first, and then the one that's far away. Maybe you threw the rocks in the other order, I don't know. So you go here and wait, maybe. Go here and learn you can't win the race. So, timing's important. This is a game about both positioning and timing, so you use your wait button that you just learned about. So, in this space, it happens to work out that if you're moving around or picking up and putting down the rock, you don't land, like it's an odd number of turns you have to spend. And you can only spend an even number of turns without using the wait button. So you have to use the wait button in this spot, even though you can move around or pick up and put down a rock to pass a turn. And then this is the point at which you need to throw that, get on top, get over here, win the race, and that's that level. Alright, cool. So, that didn't go through any revisions at all, I believe. I think it's exactly the same in this version. But yeah, I'm thinking I will revise it slightly to have a more pleasing arrangement with plates. Though that won't really affect the mechanics much. Music loops at a different place in this version of the game. Alright, so this scroll was relatively new. I think this was added in version 102 or 103. About screen is where you can see that information. One of those. Anyway, yeah, so this is kind of a control that's... You can go through the whole game without ever discovering this. Like if you want to measure a distance and say, I want to throw over there. No, that's not the throw I want. You could throw and then undo to undo it. But if you want to measure a distance... Well, 1, I added this cursor for doing that. But 2, you can just see the throw preview, then tap the same direction. So I'm holding action, I tap left, then I can release action and just not throw. So yeah, I couldn't figure out a way to communicate that other than just writing it on a scroll, so that's what I did, eventually. Anyway, so, idea behind this level. You see the exit, it's right here, it's behind 3 doors, which are toggled by things over in this area. So you want to mess with stuff in that area, probably want to keep the bridge, so you'll throw a rock over, but then you need more rocks than just this one. So you want to go over here. Okay. Do this, and you might notice right away that you don't have a way back. So, to solve that problem, you put this here first. So secretly these two parts of the level are interconnected, and you can get an angle here to throw. So, rock is in here, and why do you want a rock in there? Because you need to hold that down to get the third rock. And return of the crumbly wall. I had a little bit of trouble using this element right here. The crumbly wall was added surprisingly late in the development of this game. Most of the other game elements were in before it was there. Right, yeah, so this happened to toggle that closed. If you want that rock out, you're going to have to do something about that. And this plate here at the start toggles it. So, just a matter of getting the distance there. And I don't need this chamber anymore, so I can drop these. Anyway, yeah, so crumbly wall. Right, a note about level order. I built a whole lot of level 2s for this game. This was a level 2 at one point before I built Weight. The next level will have been a level 2 before I built, this is called Rock Vault, by the way. Anyway, level's done. I don't think that went through any revisions, so let's see it again just as it is. Or sorry, it did go through a revision. I didn't, in this version, I didn't put the old version here. Just picture it without that scroll. That was the only change. Anyway. You can also throw the rock out of here as long as you don't land it on the other rock. Either way, if you want to keep that trapdoor bridge there for whatever reason. Aesthetics, etc. Right, so, next level. Right, you can clearly see what the change is here. This was another recent change. This is a 103 thing, so interrupt. I had a break in this level that a lot of people used, which is completely reasonable. I just forgot to prevent a thing that would help the main realization be made. So once again, this was not always level 2. My original level 2 involved this object. So we got a new object introduced here. Right, yeah, so the first new object introduction since the intro, I think, actually? Yeah, intro had all the elements up until level 4. So, you got no rocks, you got every path blocked off, so the only thing you can interact with here is... Oh, that's right, I have a different, oops, well, sorry, I did it already. I have a different bump sound for bumping an object, and for bumping, something you just can't walk onto, like water. Anyway, yeah, so all you can do is bump against this, and discover that it's a global switch for every red and blue block in the level. I could make it so you mouse over this and see all those blocks. That'd be a reasonable change. It might be misleading in that it would imply that it would be possible for this not to toggle all blocks, so there would be a little bit of a clarity cost to doing that. I could add a scroll explaining it, but, you know, that's text. I think I like it the way it is. You can visually scan and see where these blocks are, and I think it's fine. Anyway, so that gets you 2 rocks. What do you do with 2 rocks? Well, in this old version of the level, let's actually do the old one first here. In this old version of the level, what a lot of players did, which is fine, because the level allowed it just wasn't what I originally had in mind, was you'd come down here, right, because, okay, reset. So the switch would land in this state. This would be the closer plate to you. The distance doesn't work out to just throw and land it on the plate. Okay, so I'd like to get that other rock first. Distance doesn't work to just throw it on the plate, but the distance does work to go tap the switch. And you know, minimal number of switch toggles. Right, yeah, these do the obvious. Minimal number of switch toggles demands that you do it in this order, and you can just throw it here and not interact with the switch anymore. And that's one way to solve the level, or at least it was in this version. But I added this little water tile here so that that distance no longer works out. You just can't get a throw that lands exactly on this plate. So yeah, this was supposed to be the first of the 2 that you do, because this costs a rock. You don't get the rock back after you throw it here. And the one on the right was supposed to require 2 rocks. So what you figure out is you pre-position your rocks somewhere. This happens to be the correct layout. Throw at the thing, so you have to discover it can be hit by a rock, which you could avoid discovering in the old version of this. Pick that up, throw it this way, and then the timing works out that the rock hits the thing just at the right time to trap that rock in there and put the plate down. Then this one plays out the same. Alright, so that was Interrupt. Next level is Fenced. Was this ever a level 2? This is way too complicated to be a level 2. I don't think this ever was a level 2. The next one was, though. Yeah, so this is sort of taking that concept and expanding it a lot. I wanted this level to make an impression, so for different aesthetics, I chose to build the outer wall using switch blocks that aren't connected to anything. I don't think it's confusing. Like, the only mechanisms that interact with those interact with ones that start open, and it's just these two. I think it's clear enough. Right, so anyway, this level makes an impression. There's a bunch of stuff going on. It's using all the available space. This is a one-way gate, so you can't go through from this side. So you get one rock, and you get access to the switch. That's pretty much it. Want to get there, gonna need a bunch of toggles. And how would you do it? You could do that, but then that only gets you this far. So, gotta collect some rocks. Now, you might observe that there's a crumbly wall here and not here, so that's the difference between these two, which are otherwise vertical mirrors of each other. So you can throw from here, get through the blocks, throw from here, get back out, and extract a rock, and it just kind of works out. So there's a bunch of different minor ways to do this next step. You can throw north and park the rock there. You can pre-place the rock in here. That was the way I originally did it. You could just have the rock sitting out here and throw from there, and pick it up on your way in. The timing's pretty lenient, so you can do it just whichever way you want. So this was the, if you want the official way that I originally imagined the level, it was this way. So yeah, the crumbly wall is there to be a mechanism that requires you to use 2 rocks in order to escape, because the first rock hits it and falls there and falls short of the switch. So anyway, got rocks here. If you try to just walk out, then you won't be able to get that one back. So you do a throw. And I've just discovered today that there's kind of a break at the end of this level. You can ignore the main mechanism of it. Here, I'll do it. I'll pretend that in the old version of the game, this was broken, and in this version it's fixed. The idea I had in mind was that you'd spot that you can land rocks there, and here, just the times you would need them. And yeah, so these are toggleable, but then you lose your rock, and they're only toggleable at a certain time. So yeah, just line up your 3 rocks, do that, throw north, lose the rock but it's fine, throw south, lose the rock but it's fine, and exit. So back to other version of game. Right, so do this, pretty much the same, throw there, get that. Let's do this the other way. So if you throw up there, that's where your rock lands, and that's totally fine. You don't have to juggle it on the way in. It's in a retrievable spot and everything. Whoops. Okay, so I have... there's a setting for this. Originally, this was the default. Now it's not the default. And originally, there wasn't an option for this. So that's a control setting where if there's a rock on the ground... I press the action button, I'm still holding the action button, I press down, I release the action button, I throw it immediately. If I change that setting, I press the action button, I'm still holding the action button, I press down, now I'm just moving. So, whichever way you like it. It's a... Whoops! Well, there's the level select screen. Okay, I will blur that out just in case you want to see the process of unlocking levels. As it goes, that's fine. So, right, yeah, throw during pickup, I would prefer. Ooh, I could do some weird stuff if I deleted my save right now. I won't. Game would sort of handle it, but would sort of not. Anyway. So, right, broken way I just discovered to do this is you don't ever have to do that throw across the river at all, because you can just collect up your rocks like this. Do a carefully timed throw there. It's not even carefully timed, just pick up that rock, bring him along with you, and never have to do those throws. I'm not sure how or if I'll fix that. Maybe a trapdoor here would help, or here, or somewhere in here. Look kind of ugly. Let's see, would a trapdoor in this spot force you to at least do 1 throw across the river? You could go here, put it down, that'd be fine. Do that, pick this up. No, it totally would not. Ooh, that looks weird when I'm throwing from up there. Okay. No, trapdoor wouldn't fix it. Okay, well, one here might? I think it would, if I'd trapdoor that. I don't like that. This isn't a particularly bad break. It's not all that important to the puzzle that you throw across the river. I mean, the main part is collecting up the rocks. Maybe I'll just leave that as like an alternate way to do this. It's fine. Yeah, you don't have to throw across the river. Okay, I'm making the decision now to not change that. I can even do that in time. Anyway, so back to this version. This level didn't change, as you can see. Right, so this was my original level 2. The first level 2 that was built was this one, and it was way too complicated, because I'm introducing a new mechanism. So yeah, the reason you start on a little tiny island with nothing to do is because I wanted to force tapping that switch, and then I never changed it since then, even though I had a better introduction to that concept. So anyway, nothing to do here in this current switch state. I have no rocks. All I can do is go in here. This is a one-way gate. Yeah, this was like the second level I ever built, I think, so its age kind of shows. It's a little less polished than some of the others, and I didn't fix up all of its little issues. So yeah, all you can do here, you can't throw the rock out because there's water there, can't throw the rock out because there's water there, can't walk out because of the one-way gate. So just tap that, or throw a rock at it, whatever your preference is, and carry this out. So, to get to the exit, this toggles those things, then this needs to be toggled too. Yeah, so you can throw a rock here, and there's no door walking in this game, so I can't move north right now. I thought of adding that. I decided not to. Anyway, so here's a rock. If a rock is in the puzzle, you're probably going to have to collect it and interact with it in some way. So you could throw a rock here at the more obvious switch, and I gain access to that. And then here's where you learn, if you haven't already, that rock destroys a rock when it lands on it. So you throw at the slightly more out of the way switch there, which kind of looks like it's locked away behind a bunch of stuff, but it's actually pretty simple to get there and back. And then that frees up a space to throw that. You have 2 rocks. And then, you might be thinking at the end of the level, like, okay, what do I do with these 2 rocks? You can throw that rock to the left if you don't want to drop that trapdoor, and go collect it from there, but you don't need the trapdoor anymore. Anyway, yeah, so, everybody I've seen play this game has pretty quickly just figured out that you need this arrangement. Pick up this rock. Oops, I turned off my setting that I like. Right, I probably did that in the other game instance, and it didn't propagate here. Yeah, so you pick up, throw, do that, pick up, throw, do that, and the timing just works out. Yeah, so this final little snarl didn't end up being too much of an issue. I was worried it might, but it did not. Okay, sure, so other version, yeah, nothing changed. It's exactly the same. Right, I need this rock to do that. If I time my throw just right here, that's not how you do it. Whoa, there's my undo button. If I time my throw just right here, I don't have to stop moving. Oops, oh, sure, that's fine. I'm gonna want that in that general area. Yeah, so you can throw that if you want to preserve the trapdoor. Yeah, if you like. Alright, so back to you. So, this level came about relatively late, and it was originally earlier. It only uses elements that were introduced in the intro level. But it ended up being a lot harder than, yeah, this level's kind of a little bit of a stumper compared to what came before it. I wanted to make something that was all about the crumbly wall, and I was trying to figure out what kind of widgets I could put together just to force, like, to make it interesting that you have to throw a rock at a crumbly wall to break it. So right, all you can do at the start is obviously this, and now you're gonna have this road with a bunch of stuff kind of in the way, and trapdoors falling, mechanisms that have to be held down at the end of the puzzle in order to get to the stairs. But then some work you have to do with rocks over here. So anyway, you got this obstacle most immediately in front of you, and then the rock is there in a place where the thing would drop if you pick up and move from it. So, this is where you figure out you can pick up a rock and throw it from a trapdoor without dropping the trapdoor. So you need this broken, And then this is sort of a hard thing to spot. This needs to break. If you go across here, you're going to need to maintain access to that. So, you got a spot that you can reuse this location, walk onto the trapdoor with rock held, then throw south, and trapdoor stays. So yeah, break that, gain traversal, got 2 rocks here. And I was trying to figure out a widget just with broken walls, cracked walls, crumbly walls, whatever you want to call them. These tiles don't have official names, as you can tell. That would require having 2 rocks. And what I came up with... Why is that wall there? Now that I look at it, I don't think that wall serves a purpose. Huh. Okay, that one could be deleted and the puzzle would be the same. Anyway, yeah, because of these trapdoors, you can't just carry a rock across here and use the same one to break both. Because I still have to walk backward to this plate and this plate. So you have to throw 1 rock, and then throw a 2nd rock. So that was the widget I came up with. 2 walls in a row that can only be accessed from... They'll only be thrown at from the far side. So yeah, then you just get your rocks back. And you do have to do a little shuffle here because there's no real good space to throw that. I guess you could throw... No, there is. Oops. There's this one here. Yeah, you could just throw there in the other spot. That'd be fine. And then you have this little snarl here. So, once again, can't drop that, so you have to observe. You can go around this little thing again. And there we go. Rocks are in place. Level is solved. Oh boy, that level. This one has gone through the most changes of any level, so, well, after I solve this and switch to the other one, you'll see quite a change to that. Alright, yeah, this is swimming pool, by the way. Number 7. Oops. Okay, so sometimes I want this, sometimes I don't. The problem is, game can't read my mind and know which input I want to make at which time, so I'm gonna be tripped up either way, no matter which setting I put it on. It's fine. But if throw during pickup is on, then you get... Yeah, okay, I guess you could do that. That works. Then you have a little chance to catch yourself and undo the throw if you want. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Alright, so whoops. Well, actually that needs to happen anyway, so that's fine. Yeah, it's only when I'm inputting fast that... if you want to preserve as many trapdoors as possible, you can do this. You still will have to drop that one, though. Have to drop at least 1. There's no bonus for preserving more trapdoors, but the bonus is the puzzle looks like it has more trapdoors in it. Anyway, so let's do a little side-by-side comparison here. Oh, that's fascinating. So, not only did a bunch of this layout change, I forgot about this. This level actually was a different dimension size. So yeah, there's nothing intrinsic about, I believe it's 23 by 15, the size that I used for all my levels. The game just automatically handles it if you have a different size of level. It does change the base resolution of the game, so stuff like the menu might not fit as well. Yeah, let's look at the menu over here in this level. So yeah, it's nudged over to the right. Settings, and nothing that you can see right now goes all the way over to this side of the screen, so there won't be anything particularly cut off here. Yeah, this is only 22 by 15, so it's close enough. But anyway, yeah, so levels can be different sizes. It just doesn't really matter to the game, except in the consideration of the base resolution and how the menu draws itself. Anyway, so other than that, you can also see like a bunch of stuff being deleted over here. This bit of water being added. That's a very important bit of water. So anyway, let's do this real quick. Right, sorry. Other than all the revisions, introducing several new elements here. So here's a torch. Here's an ice wall. I throw a rock against it, nothing happens. Bump against it with your body, nothing happens. So the only thing you can do is throw through the torch and discover that makes your rock fiery. So we're starting on elemental powers here. This was an idea that was in the game from the beginning, but I wanted to introduce it a little later because the basics deserved some attention first. So, you've just learned how to remove this barrier. an unlit torch, if you can figure out that's what that is. Yeah, it's pretty clear, I think. Will not fire up your rock. An unfired rock will not break an ice barrier, so obviously you gotta bring the flame from here to here, right? Reasonable thing to guess. Flaming rock, lights torch. Sure. So this just becomes a matter of bringing that flame to where it needs to go. So from here, yeah, so can't go there because of the water. I'll talk about that in a second. Can't go here because of the water, so same situation, but there's a handy switch in the way that can block this. So yeah, the rest of this is just a little maze where you gotta bring your fire on a big chain over to where it'll get you out of the level. And then there's a little snarl here. It just happens to work out timing-wise to throw from here, hit that just in time, and that lights. And then this gets to the final torch. And no additional complications. You're just done with the level at that point. And there we go. So let's look at an old version. I won't show all the revisions in between because that's just all of them at once, I guess. So starts the same, it's the wrong dimension. And right, so level starts the same. You want to chain your fire out there, and oh look, I have two choices. I could throw it here, but why would I do that when I would just throw it here, land the rock there where there's no water, and oops, the level's done. So this was the most severe break that I know about so far in the levels at release time. I can just go there. Oh, I'm gonna have to use the level select. Okay, blur time. Anyway, the idea was that you'd chain the fire across. And you know, if you want to do this cooperatively, not break the level, like figure out that that is an accidental break somehow. I don't know how you divine that. The other big revision that happened here was that this level was way too tedious. This was by far my worst level when at release time, because it just had so many extra steps that were just completely unnecessary. Those came about because I had some idea in mind, I had some idea in mind about layout constraints, and in the level editor I found that I was actually pretty constrained in when so there was some last minute change. I forget what it was, like this moved to the right or something. Some last minute change happened that caused this short circuit, like when the level was originally built. It wasn't like this, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this was like over to the right one more. Maybe I moved this closer because it looked more pleasing that way or something. Anyway, yeah, so, right, yeah, tedious level, just too many extra steps, because you gotta do all this, get your rock, yeah, but the tedium came about just because... Okay, I guess that little mechanism is not present in the latest version, having to toggle the switch and catch the thing there, but I think the level's a lot better for the minimization I did to it. Yeah, so just the distance of 6, and the constraint that I couldn't put something in the same row or column, or else you'd be able to chain to it, just led me on this big wild goose chase. I didn't want to make this big snarl, but I felt like I had to at the time that I built the level, so I think the newer version's better. Alright, so, oh, well, you can see that change clearly. There's a little cutout taken in a later version of this. Right, sorry, that was level 8. It was called Torch. This is level 9. It's called Shooting Range. So, fire was introduced in the last level. Now we get our second elemental power. So this is ice. So what's that about? You shoot at it, or throw your rock at it, and your rock turns blue. What does that do? Well, you go over here to the shooting range, and start just experimenting. And when the rock lands, you see this new thing you just learned about in the last level, the spikes of ice. So you know that's a barrier, so now you know you can create a barrier if you land that on something. And it turns out that something is grass, because landing on a pressure plate doesn't do it. And then, you know, you look at these mechanisms, obviously you gotta get to that, there's no angle you can throw at it from. So therefore, maybe if ice freezes grass, it can also freeze water. And indeed it can. So that consumes a rock to make an ice bridge. So right, anyway, that has to toggle once to get out of the level, then again from over here. You could take a rock with you, but that won't do you any good. So, you place a rock there, and just kind of leave it. And then, you would want a rock over here, so you could extract one, have that weird extra one, and then realize that this distance is not right for the throw. So, it becomes necessary to use the other kind of ice to make an ice barrier here. And if you do this too early, it's going to block off your way to this. So you got to come in once, throw that, come back out, put the rock, come back in, make the ice barrier, and then this happens. There we go. So right, earlier version had this extra cutout here for some reason, just I guess so the plate could be surrounded by grass, because that felt better. But what this allowed to happen was to create some ice right there, without ever interacting with this part. Then you could come in here and just turn off these ice tokens, which, this would be your first exposure to this element, so you might not know you can walk on it right away. But yeah, you discover that behavior, and then with it off, you can just throw these without them changing element. And how does that help? How does that help? That doesn't seem like it helps. How did this make it possible to... Was it that I can't throw from here. I don't know, there was some way that this level was breakable by coming in here and doing this. But I am not sure at this point what way that was. Anyway, I used up a rock to do this, therefore I won't have enough for what I'm doing here, right? I don't think I will. Yeah, I won't. Okay. Well, there was some reason I really wanted to prevent walking there and turning those off. What's funny is, I didn't actually prevent it fully. You can still do it if you... oh, also, the other way to get a rock over there is to throw it on ice. Ice won't turn to anything else. Yeah, so from here you can still do that. Huh, but for some reason that was less of a problem? Yeah, alright, it's already been too long that I've forgotten the story of why this level was changed the way that it was. Guess I should have done this video earlier. Anyway. Alright, so on to... Oh, well, there's a change. On to Frozen Lake. This was a recent change in version 103. Just a little shape change to this. So the idea here is, this is the first time officially you're supposed to be able to walk up and touch an elemental token. So you saw torches in level 8. Now here's a fire token. So first problem is, we got 2 rocks here. That distance is wrong for throwing across there. Yeah, 2 rocks across trapdoors. Every other formation of this we've seen, we've needed both rocks, so you want to throw that way. And, oh no, the rocks turn hot, and they melt the water, and they fall in the lake. What do you do about that? What you do is walk over here and turn this off. Then you can just throw, and it's fine. Then you turn it back on, and what's the rest of the level? So you solve the opening snarl. Goal is to get here. There's some plates that are that need to be toggled, and as you just learned, if you throw through the fire, that'll melt the ice and lose the rock. So you don't want that, therefore this needs to be toggled off, okay? So you gotta go in there, alright. So, gotta place rocks on both of those to step in this spot. So therefore we need rocks over there. Okay, can't carry them across there, because the angle's wrong. Can't throw through this, because there's a torch there, firing it up. And there's a fire token here firing it up. Okay, so we gotta step on that one. Alright, there's a blue block in the way. Here's the switch. We can throw here to do that, but that loses a rock and it feels pretty bad. So now you don't have the 2 rocks to the doors. Therefore, you gotta open this up. There's also 2 more rocks here, which you probably want. Okay, there's a longer chain of intended realizations in this level than previous ones, I'm realizing. Anyway, yeah, so the only way to get rid of this, you can't throw from there because the distance is wrong. You also can't quite land a rock there naturally because you'd already be dropping that, and the distance is wrong. So, you're gonna have to do this. which loses the rock, but in this case that's okay. Because you get 2 back, and you're back at the inventory you had before. So right, anyway, you can step on that to turn it off, and the rest just kind of unravels as expected. Oops. Put the rock there, step the thing, get the rocks back. You can do it this way, or throw it across, there's enough space for it, and with this deactivated, rock can just happily land there, and serve the purpose of holding the plate. Alright, yeah, so back in this version, the reason I made a change here was that this is the first time, ideally, you have an elemental token that you can actually interact with up close. And at a glance, you might not notice these 4 green pixels at the edge of that in the grass color, which is a little unfortunate since this is on ice, not grass, but just, you know, tile set constraints. I would have fixed that with more time, but that's not how it went. Anyway, yeah, you might not realize you can step on that and interact with it. So the change was to force a step on that so that you don't actually have a choice about it. I think it would be better to have a level in between this one and the previous one that taught that and keep this layout, but my quick fix without inserting an extra level in the set was to just cut down the space so that it's forced to step across there. Anyway, the rest of it plays out the same as before. Right, gotta do this. Oops, undo. I'll do this the other way around. Yeah, okay, so those mistakes happen specifically when I'm inputting quickly. Another thing I was thinking was maybe to have an alternate control setting where you could have, like, 4 separate buttons for throw north, south, east, and west. Haven't actually done that yet, though. I don't know if it would be a better experience, but for some people it might be. Anyway, so, level 11, pillars. 3rd elemental power being introduced here. So by now you know you can step on an elemental token. This one's inert at the start, so it doesn't do anything, but step on it, you hear this windy noise. So we've had fire power, we've had ice power, this one is wind power. So what does wind power do? It's very clear as soon as you throw a rock across it. The throw preview extends to the very edge of the stage, and rock turns green and just flies as far as it can fly. Right, end of the level. This has to be pressed. You just learned what a wind token does, so you're going to have to throw at it from here after activating that, so it lands on the plate and opens the door for you. To do that, you're going to need to freeze this, because there's an ice token here. That's how you do that. To do that, you got to hit the switch. To hit the switch, you got to go through this whole trap setup. So I'll do this the way I originally envisioned first. Let's look at these mechanisms. So you got like a little control panel here to toggle those. And the basic goal is to just get a rock all the way through by manning the control panel. Oops, whoa. Okay, hang on, I'm standing in the wrong place. Okay, so I'm here, this toggles, but then that one is toggled by this, which is way too far away to man the mechanism from here. So I could place a rock on it initially, but then this is closed, so that has to happen during the throw. So, the realization that's necessary to have is that you want to throw 2 rocks with wind power here. And so I can try that, and man this mechanism myself. But I wanted to get up there a little earlier in order for one of the rocks, the first one, to land on this, and hold it down. This won't quite happen in time. So they both collide, that one goes down, and then they fall. Ooh, okay, that's technically a move processing order thing. If this rock were taking its turn first, then that would work. This rock is taking its turn first because it was thrown earlier. Yes, the earlier thrown rock gets processed first. I tried to avoid building puzzles around that behavior because it's kind of obscure, but technically there's a little bit of it in here, but it just works to reinforce the puzzle. So my idea here was you're supposed to put a rock here, your third one that's doing nothing during this process, and, you know, throw those, something like that. Man this mechanism. So those get through. First rock lands there. And then you go up here, pick this rock up just in time to do that. Then man this. And you hit the switch. The way I've seen everyone else do this puzzle is slightly different from that, which is fine. It doesn't break it or anything. It's just not quite what I had in mind. And I'm not going to change the puzzle for it. It's the same mechanism, essentially. Anyway, yeah. So you can throw a rock down there to get it onto this island, because there is a trapdoor here. Or you can throw it from here, because this space works too. And this ice token might seem a little redundant. Seems like there's an extra step in here for no particular reason. Like you could just put this blue block here. There will come a reason for that, eventually. Yeah, so there's just enough space here to get this onto the wind token, so that shows that even at the end of the rock's throw, it will still be elongated. And land there, and the puzzle is done. This is a puzzle where I can take a rock with me down the exit. That doesn't actually do anything, but I can do it. Right, so this level didn't change, but I'll show the other way of doing it. So what I can do is I can throw in the other order, like back first, pick this up. I do have to wait one because it doesn't work otherwise. So with a spacing of 2 blank spaces in between, so yeah, 4 total width, however you want to measure that, it's actually possible to just man both plates myself and have the back rock collide with this obstacle just in time for the front one to get through, so I didn't have to interact with the third rock at all during that process. So, that's an alternate way to do it. I think it works fine. Yeah, you don't have to interact with the third rock at the start of the puzzle, but it doesn't really break anything. It's fine. I'm okay with it. Alright, so... level 12. This is called Island Chain. This was the first real level that I built. It kind of shows. It's a little less polished than some of the others, but I think it still works pretty well as a level. So yeah, this is first level built, so I just kind of wanted to play with all of the elements I had to play with. So right, exit stairs are there behind an ice barrier and some water, so obviously both fire and ice are going to have to be involved. Here's fire, here's ice, wind is also there. And we got a trapdoor at the start, so you gotta throw across and do this. Yeah, so I was still thinking in the mode of like, okay, we're gonna introduce trapdoors here and have the player thinking about distances for the first time, so you have to step all the way back to throw there. So like that was the mindset that led to this opening chamber, which kind of just does nothing for the puzzle. But yeah, just an artifact of this having been the first puzzle that I built before I knew how I would be tutorializing all the mechanics leads to weird little edge cases like that. Just like, this might seem like a weird thing here. Because if this puzzle were built later and was otherwise constructed the same, I'd just have grass all the way across here. Or have this be grass. Or just start here and not have this section at all. Because yeah, just, you get 2 rocks. You know what to do. Don't have to have that extra step. Anyway, sorry, I just did that real quick because I knew what to do. So you get here and you can't do anything else. Obviously you want to get there. You can activate the ice token, so you just have to figure out, you know, that distance doesn't help you, that doesn't help you, whoops. So you want to bridge somewhere, and that's the place you can bridge. Therefore, it makes sense to do so. Alright, and all I can get to is down here. Can't really do anything from this spot, so I want the rock there. Don't want to drop that yet because I want to get back, so you throw it from here. And then, alright, so you want to melt that, but you're going to need a second rock, and that's here. Obviously you got to use the wind token to get over there. That's no issue. So, both rocks have to come back, so you throw this one, carry that one if you want, or throw if you want. It's a little more out of the way to throw. And I want both rocks down here. So now you just got to do some token management. I want fire now. Wind can turn into fire, so you get a far-flying fire rock if you do it in that order. Is that necessary? Oops. Whoa. Okay, I held my wait button for a moment. That's why I had a bunch of extra moves input there. You can just do it from here and not wind the fire rock if you want. Now we need ice on, fire off. That's only necessary because, yeah, you don't actually need fire off. So if we had all 3 elements here, It gets fiery, then it gets icy, but then it lands on the stairway. So you actually gotta throw from the fire token here. And there we go. This level didn't go through any revisions other than to expand it out to the edges because it was originally just like these dimensions. So I standardized the dimensions and really didn't have to change anything else. So first level built, still works totally fine. You might notice it's level 12 out of 16. First level built is usually not the easiest level built, and that's the case here. So yeah, this is a little bit of a different flavor than the other levels in the game, just because of how early it was built, but I think it works just fine. I'm still happy with it. Alright, level 13, yeah, you can see the change here. So, different landmass there. Chilled, that's the name of this one. So, this level, the story of how this came about, this was the last level built, and it functions as kind of a final boss. I packed 3 different level ideas that were going to be separate levels into this one because I was almost out of time. This was built at like almost the last hour of the jam, maybe 1 hour, sorry, I submitted 1 hour before the deadline, and I think this was built about 2 hours before the deadline, so I was racing here. I needed to pack 3 different ideas into this level, so it does kind of a lot. It's a big space. Right, so exit is here, working backward. Gotta get to the exit. We have a familiar setup where you have to leave a rock on each one of these to get through here. And then there's also this, which is currently open. The only switch that toggles it is here. And this looks kind of weird. Why would you ever want to toggle this switch? You probably wouldn't. Because it closes itself off, can't be toggled again, and just removes the way to the exit. So you don't want to interact with that. Need 2 rocks in here. So you can get one like this just fine, but the other one's going to have to be thrown. This is a locking mechanism that makes it impossible to throw from this angle. I can't get the distance to throw from any other spots here. Oops. So therefore you're going to have to use this wind token, which takes you through ice, and then a torch, which you learn right here in this puzzle that turns that from ice to neutral. Then another torch, which turns it from neutral to fire. And then that melts the ice, so the rock is gone. Okay, let's throw another one. Wait a second, there's some water there. Throwing another one doesn't work. You can turn this off and it won't help you. You can keep doing that and it won't help you. You can make some ice here if you want. It won't help you. So right, that's the snarl. Now you have to discover a new mechanic that hasn't been shown before. So yeah, thing number 1 of what's new demonstrated in here is an additional special property of the elemental wind rocks. So right, you wonder why you want to toggle a switch. Maybe you'll just try it out of curiosity, and have to activate the wind token to do that. No, you don't. You can actually just do it from here. Oh. Well, that's fine. I mean, you get curious about this wind token. Obviously, it has a reason for being here. So you do it. Throwing that way is nothing interesting. Throwing that way is nothing interesting. Throwing this way goes across a torch. So there you learn that the wind snuffs out a torch flame. And then from the demonstration of this, you can see now that, oh, whoops, I hit that switch. Well, that's no good, but still, you have seen that torches only warm rocks up by 1 step at a time. So now you get a neutral rock that collides against that, and is in place for finishing the level. Cool, but an obstacle was created. Okay? So then you have a bunch of extra rocks here, and you gotta figure out what to do with them. These are things I haven't interacted with yet, so obviously they're gonna help somehow. So you need to snuff out the torch with the wind. So, and it needs to not hit this. Therefore, there needs to be a barrier here, right? And you got ice tokens to do it. Wind tokens kind of making that travel a little too far. But if you turn it off, it doesn't travel quite far enough. And same both sides. Same distances, you can kind of do this either side and get the same result. But then, you know, you have them on both sides. Why might that be? Well, there's got to be a reason for it, and the reason is that what you have to realize is you can make a chain of icicles in order to have a wall in just the right place. You have enough extra rocks to do this. And that will be a barrier that prevents hitting the switch while snuffing out the torch with the wind token. And you get to keep this rock, so that becomes your second rock taken in there. Alright. This goes here, and level is done. But oh, what's this? There are 16 levels in this game, and I was just taken to the intro level behind the menu and level select with question marks. Isn't that curious? Let's mess with that in a little bit. Anyway, so back to this version. The break that was possible when this grass was here was, how was it? You can throw from that angle. There's enough water in the other version you can't stand here. And you can turn off the ice token? Why would you want to do that? You wouldn't. You make ice there in order to have a throw that just makes it here. So that was a break that was possible in the original version of this. Yeah, and you can just skip the rest of the puzzle by just making ice right there. Okay, so anyway, whoopsie, blur time. Okay, let me just back out of this here. Anyway, so you get to this point in the game, and you see some question marks. So obviously there's some secrets here. The position of these is probably important. So you go over to these 3 levels, and maybe think about, like, what's common between all of them. They're all kind of late in the level set. And this isn't... I'm not sure how I would clue this any better. Some players caught onto it right away. Some needed an extra little nudge that the game doesn't really go out of its way to give other than the position of this. So yeah, maybe you need to go away and think about this for a while, but the insight that needs to happen is that maybe going through the exit stairway isn't the only way to exit the level. Wouldn't it be fun, since you can create paths on the ice, to go touch the level boundary and see what that would do? Maybe there's something out there. As it turns out, there totally is. So that's the alternate way to exit a level. You touch the edge, any edge will do, goes to the same place, and it takes you to a secret level. So this looks a little different. We got, like, space going on here. Originally, this was just pit. So, you know, same metaphor as Drod. You had water and water trapdoors and pit trapdoors. Then I decided to change it to space, because I thought that was fun. So... this is S9, Ice Keep. So, first secret, here. Using, like, Money Seas naming conventions for secret levels. That's how that came about. Anyway, yeah, so, Ice Keep. Got 5 rocks in here. Some cracks, just for ornamentation. They don't actually play into the puzzle. Exit is here, all watered up. So we're gonna have to freeze a path to it. So, do that. Just to make our way out. Okay, so this is another artifact of level building order. This one was relatively early. This right here is where the you can step on an elemental token to toggle it tutorial ended up being way after, well, you'll probably find it after Frozen Lake. You could end up there first if you discover the secret right away in shooting range and do the secret exit before the normal exit. Anyway, yeah, so that's where your tutorial is. You gotta discover the secret to get it in the right order. Anyway, yeah, so we got trapdoors here and a bad throw distance, so you can't extract rocks a good way. Trapdoor over space or pit or whatever makes a different noise than trapdoor over water. Not as happy that sounds. But got 2 trapdoors, so you can use one up, make an ice barrier here, so the rest of the rocks can come out. It's a little cumbersome. This thing's noisy as you're walking over it. You gotta come out here and shuffle that around a little bit in order to have space to put it. It's fine. I probably would have cleaned up this section a little bit. Yeah, this is completely unnecessary. Like, for a revision here, I would just delete this ice token and the water and one of the rocks, and the level would work the same. Because, yeah, you'd still have the trapdoor snarl. Yeah, at this point, this doesn't add anything to the level, so that's a revision I might consider making just for simplification. You can break this if you want. It doesn't do anything. I think it looks better to leave it there. So anyway, exit access is going to need to be achieved. Distances, that looks like a bad spot. Got 3 ice tokens here. Obviously you're going to want to make some sort of ice bridge, so you can put it there, you can put it there. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to get it here and here? That would only take 2 rocks. But this doesn't quite reach, this isn't at the right angle, this isn't at the right angle. Let's not mess with that yet. Let's deal with this one that looks a little more complicated. So we got a trapdoor set up here, a broken wall thing there. Ooh. Okay, right, this was a recent revision. We'll see the older version. Anyway, so we need a rock there to break this, because that's going to have to contribute to the... It is going to have to contribute, right? I can't just use this for both, right? No, because that would make... Oops. That would make one here and one here, but neither of those reaches shore. So yeah, you need this to reach the shore. If I throw there, I lose a rock, so that's obviously no good. I need the rock in there. If I throw there, that loses the rock and makes an ice thing, so you just gotta come in here and toggle the thing. That's all. Throw from the trapdoor so it doesn't drop. Doesn't matter if your rock is icy when breaking a thing. It'll work the same. So yeah, more token toggle noise and just like extra toggles. I'm not sure what I would do about that. Maybe nothing. It's fine. Anyway, yeah, then, you know, you get just basically 2 choices here and 2 choices here for where to put your ice. You just kind of, oops, take the obvious one that works with the other constraints. Oops, inputting fast and making mistakes. Yeah, so obviously this is no good, so you do this. And there we go. That's ice keep. So, old version of ice keep. Right, gonna have to blur this out again, that's fine. I'm selecting ice keep. So, this one, let's look at them side by side. So right, all the changes were right in this area. So right, old version. This didn't change at all. Still come out here. You can drop either one of these, doesn't matter which. There's the distances available for ice barriering there, if you want to do it on that side instead. So, the difference is, sure, I'll just do these parts. Actually, no, I won't. So, I deleted some things here, and changed up the trapdoors. Why did I change up the trapdoors? There was a reason for this. Why did I change up the trapdoor setup? I'm kind of not sure about that. There was a reason I put that little trapdoor jog out to the side. But I guess that reason's been lost to time. Anyway, there's something that was preventing. But anyway, the more important prevention here was to delete this space up here. I'm walking too far north because now I have a path of length 2 that's valid to create here, and I can just ignore one of my rocks. And if you want to, you can even use that rock to break the crumbly wall there. And yeah, take the other same option here, actually. And yeah, just skip part of the puzzle. So that was how that changed. Alright, so back here, let's find another secret. Now that we know how to access them, here in Pillars, it's a little unfortunate that it's necessary to solve most of the puzzle here again to access the secret. But it is. That's just how it worked out. Oops, that was the reset button. I can undo that, though. Anyway, yeah, if you know what you're doing, if you remember the route through the level, it doesn't take too long. Anyway, yeah, so instead of... No, you do still have to do all this. Activate that, get to the end of the thing, and then instead of taking the final step to exit the level, you take this rock backwards, stand on the closed door, and throw south. So that's your secret access there. This takes you to Sanctum, a controversial level. Not one of my better ones, I'd say. This would be improved greatly if I sort of added some in-between levels tutorializing the mechanic that's at play here. Yeah, so that's a technique that happened a lot as I was building these levels. Like, something I did, like I said, I built a lot of level 2s. I would build a level 2, say, this is way too hard, then kind of take a slice of that level, in between that and the intro, and build something a little easier. I had to slice like 3 times before I got something easy enough. But yeah, so like, a level that's too hard can be sliced into more manageable pieces, and that was a really cool level construction technique that I enjoyed a lot. So, anyway, oops. So you gotta do something here. What's that something gonna be? Need to get down these stairs. And there's some complicated mechanisms in the way. You can just walk over here and see what these do. So that appears to toggle those two. That appears to do the same thing. And then with symmetry, that toggles those two, appears to do the same thing. So you inspect these and can see the differences. That's blue, that's yellow. That's blue, that's red. And then same deal over here. The yellow is instead red for the inner one. And yeah, this is where the advanced door mechanics come in. I think this level is pretty solvable by trial and error. Sort of. Sort of. I solved it the first time by trial and error. I put it down, wasn't sure if it would work, tried something, and it just worked. But anyway, so you can interact with these plates with rocks. You'll see clearly that the two sides are separate. It only makes sense to mess with those with rocks. So if you do this, when I stepped there, only one door toggled. So now that's in a state where if I step back off, 2 different doors toggle. That's interesting. So if I left that rock there, went in here and took this one, now we're in what looks like the puzzle base state, but there's a rock on here, and if I take it off, now that door is closed. And you have to realize that's a good thing, because then when I step on this again, 2 doors open. So I have, by putting the rock inside the sanctum here, this part of the sanctum, by the way, so that one triggers its normal action. So let's try doing it in the opposite order. So if I put a rock here, 2 things toggle. If I put a rock here, nothing toggles. If I step back off that, 2 things toggle. Step back off this, everything's closed. Oh, that works. Oh, you can do it in either order? Oh, okay. Huh. I learned that just now. I guess that's fine, yeah. So just put a rock on one, put a rock on the other, release the inner one first and the outer one second. And other than that, the order doesn't matter. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, the mechanic works totally okay. And this looks kind of like an angry robot face or something. Anyway. So, that just takes me to Island Chain. Did that level change at all? I don't believe it did. You know what? I'm not going to do the blur thing, so I'm not going to go back to the old one because it's the same as the new one. That one didn't change at all. Chilled, level 13. Yeah, so what ends up, by surprise, being the final level, since you're advertised 16 and then suddenly you're kicked to the level select screen. This was, okay, right, so thing number 1 I wanted to demonstrate here was Windrock snuffs out torch. Thing number 2 I wanted to demonstrate was torches warm rocks by 1 step at a time. Thing number 3 I wanted was a 3rd place to hide a secret level, and this was done at the 11th hour, so this is the way it's hidden. All you gotta do is that. Now, I watched a playthrough just today where an alternate way was found to do that. You can actually do it on this side, which I think is way more interesting. How did this work? You make an ice barrier here, thereby making it possible to put ice there, and then you gain access off the left side. That's more of a puzzle and is way more interesting, so I'm probably going to add a water tile here, so that becomes the official way to access the secrets, because I think it's cool. And you can still do it either side, and that's fine. Otherwise, originally you just gotta observe that there's less water here than here. But yeah, I like this a lot, and I'm probably going to adopt it. So, secret exit to final level, which is called Trapdoor, S13. Well, I guess this isn't quite the Money Season naming convention, because that one started at S1 in the first secret, which... Anyway. Level made entirely of trapdoors, mostly, other than the tiles that are not. Anyway, yeah, so familiar lock at the exit here. So you got to get both rocks over here on all these trapdoors. So this just kind of breaks that down pretty naturally if you just kind of go through it. Do the steps that seem necessary. You know, you want to get both of these rocks somewhere. That doesn't seem too productive. Actually, that works fine. You can do that in either order. You can do that, or you can do this. Either way works. But yeah, you gotta ditch that rock because you need to get to the other one. And you could throw that over there, but you're gonna need something for this. And that something is this rock. Okay? Yeah, so if you just kind of solve the problem that's immediately in front of you, then this level just sort of works out. Yeah, so that doesn't really benefit me to mess with it from here, so I'm gonna need this rock. Probably gonna need this rock, as we've seen at the exit, so therefore all I can really do here is throw to the right. I could have thrown to the right from this position, but that's worse because then I'm forced to drop this trapdoor. Or throw back the way I came, which just accomplishes nothing. Anyway, so from here you have a little bit of freedom. It looks like you probably want to toggle this for some reason. I guess it's not super clear just looking at this why you want that. You need this rock back. Okay, how are you going to get it? It's going to have to involve a different toggle for this block, which is that. I should do something about these colors. It's a little too similar to see the yellow highlight on the yellow and orange plate than no highlight. It stands out a lot better when there's a rock on it. I don't know what I'll do about that. I'm thinking like drawing little lines from the thing you're mousing over to all the mechanisms that affect them. Also, I mean, using colors to differentiate behavior is not the best for accessibility, so I'll think about ways to change that. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, about the only thing it seems like you can do with this rock is go over here and throw it there. So that's what you do. And that's toggled this. Right, you have to go through this channel in order to access the switch, which looks like a thing you might want to do for some reason. I could put like a blue switch block at the end here just to make it clearer that's a goal. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. I could put it right here. Anyway, so at this point, nothing's quite accomplished, so you just do about the only thing that's available. You pick this rock up, see that distance is wrong, move north one, throw it, and then maybe notice that the rock you're throwing onto toggles this, and that you can race it and get this one back by throwing from this suspicious little trapdoor here onto something that has nothing to do with that, but saves the rock at least. Yeah, so just step off that and it toggles this way and you can get out. So right, these are open now, you can hit the switch, great, and kind of just take your rock prizes and leave. Oh, there is a switch block there. Okay, I didn't see this one. Maybe I should have rollover highlighting. Anyway, yeah, so you do have to hit that to get out, and this path does nothing. Oh, I don't need this path at all. Wait, yes I do. I'm gonna pick up this rock and that door closes. That's right, that's why that path is there. I forgot. There was a reason. So, preserve both rocks here, that's why this crumbly wall was here. This was a last minute fix because I couldn't figure out how else to lay this level out so you could preserve both rocks across that part. I'd already laid out all the rest of it, and I just needed a quick way to let you take 2 rocks across. It works. It does lay down the only grass in the level, which I don't love, but it's fine. There you go. So the final level complete noise plays again. And all the levels are done. And that one didn't change at all. No revisions. I can show this full level select screen now, and it's fine. No revisions, right? Yeah, no, didn't change at all. All right, cool. So yeah, that's all the levels. I do have a couple of more things I want to show real quick, just for fun, over here in the tile editor. I showed a little bit in the overview of this, like what it looks like to construct levels. It's just coming over here, laying down tiles. Got that extra JSON file and stuff. This was my Scratchpad level that I used for just like, this was the actual first level built. It's not a level, you just walk to the exit whenever you want. But you know, I set down some scrolls and tested out scroll text. I had this mechanism here. I was trying distances. Original throw distance in this game was 5, but then in messing with it, I discovered 6 felt better. So it changed from 5 to 6, and I think the game is better for it. Yeah, so just had some blocks here that were toggled by those mechanisms, had a rock you can go and unlock, there's a rock here, there were torches, there were tokens, there were trapdoors, there was space, this was originally a pit. There was this with no blocks to toggle. Huh, funny I put that down with no blocks to actually toggle. And then, the one other unused level I wanted to show, I had no idea how I wanted to finish the game, and at one point the game ended by this level getting loaded, and you would be trapped here forever and have no exit stairs. And it would have been extremely underwhelming if this was actually the way the game ended. The actual ending is just a sound, and then you're kicked into the level select menu, which I think works better than I expected it to. It's very minimalistic. But yeah, then, you do the secrets, you get back here, and when it kicks you back to this menu again, you see that little 100% marker in there. This was a last-minute addition, and a very good one, I would say. I think that adds actually a surprising amount to the game. So it confirms there aren't any super secret secrets. At one point I was thinking of having multi-layered secrets, but yeah, so this space aesthetic just sort of emerged organically. Like at the very start, even in the Scratchpad level, I did have pits and water, like those were in the two types of trapdoors. Those were in the game from the beginning. These looks a little different. It's not too easy to load an old tile set to show, but I don't know, it looked something like that. Yeah, that's about a pretty good approximation of what a pit originally looked like. Then I just changed them to stars because I thought that'd be cooler. So yeah, I just happened to build, I think it was Ice Keep was the first secret level, and I wanted it to look really striking, so I put pits all around instead of water, just for something different. And at some point decided that would just be the aesthetic in the secret levels. They'd all be space levels, just for a visual differentiation. I wanted a different music track for these. I composed like one measure of it, but just didn't find the time to compose the rest of it. And that would also necessitate some programming challenges of like actually switching music tracks, which would come with its own complexities and stuff. I still do wish that not only I had a dedicated music track for the... I'll probably play the one measure that I wrote for it when I do the sound episode of this. Yeah, anyway, so... yeah, I wanted a dedicated secret music track and also just maybe some other ones for the rest of the levels so you get some variety, Maybe get through the first two levels and it changes to another, track similar to this one, but something different. Anyway. But yeah, so when I chose the space aesthetic for the secret levels, that completely cut out the possibility of any further secrets accessed from this because I can't freeze space. Ice rocks just fall and go away. So, yeah, multi-layered secrets didn't end up being a thing. They were going to at one point. Maybe in the sequel. Anyway, so that's a detailed look at how all the levels came together. If I make some kind of like level editor version of this or, expansion, maybe I'll record the process of actually building a level at some point because I think that'd be interesting to see. All I can do is explain like how things came about, but actually seeing the tiles get painted, I imagine would give a different experience and more insight into the puzzle design process. Because like, did I have a... Let me see if I can remember my core concept for each level. Interlevel, show a few mechanics and tutorialize them. And the few mechanics I chose were rocks, pressure plates, trapdoors, over water. Walls, grass, scrolls, etc. Weight, tutorialize weight mechanic. That was the entire thing. Give the weight button a reason for being, and show the player how to do it early so that they'll know for later. Core concept here... I think this was one I just sort of doodled out. I just drew these in the way of the exit and put that little control panel there and then thought, okay, how can I make this interesting? Well, let's have it so you gotta interact with the control panel early before you have all your rocks. And then the rest of that just kind of fell out of that idea iteratively. And then interrupt was supposed to be a better colored switch introduction than switch, which was built first. Yeah, so that was a slice of switch. a simpler way to introduce this element, was how this came about. Fenced. I don't know. What was my idea with fenced? I think I was just kind of messing around. Like, I laid out this fenced area here, thought it looked cool, and tried putting colored blocks next to the gray ones and thought it looked cool, and then then the level was just kind of a doodle after that. This mechanism, maybe this was here from the start? Yeah, I think I laid down this and then figured out how I'd make it possible to get through this series of gates here. Yeah, and the rest was just kind of doodling. Switch. Yeah, this was, I think, second level built after Island Chain. Yeah, pretty sure this was second level built after Island Chain. Yeah, being second level built, I was just kind of playing with the mechanics. This was supposed to be the introduction of this element, and then also I was having fun making a little timing snarl here. It was supposed to also be the introduction of, like, pre-placing two rocks here and doing a complicated little operation, throwing both of them at the same time. And the rest of this was just playing around, just what it needed to be. I wanted some little mini challenge to get this rock, and that ended up being this. This isn't really a challenge to get that rock, but I wanted something more than just picking it up at the start. Anyway, swimming pool. Right, yeah, I already explained this was supposed to be all about the crumbly blocks. Just wanted a puzzle that used them as the main element, and the rest just came out of that constraint. What had to happen for that to actually work. Torch, intro to fire element, and then just a chain of, yeah, so introducing fire element in the torch form means, behavior is it gives rocks fire power, fire can be chained, and then from that it just naturally occurred that, you'd have a lit torch first, you'd have some unlit torches, you had to chain the fire from there to there, and that was the entire concept. Shooting range. Was this originally the introduction of ice? Yes. Ice existed first in Island Chain because that was the first one built, but I knew I needed to actually tutorialize it in some way. So I wanted these kind of out of the way so you couldn't actually mess with them. Just have some way to, throw a rock over them so that you definitely discover you can throw a rock over. So yeah, I averted the problem of not knowing you could throw a rock over one of these. And instead gained the problem of not knowing you could walk over one of them. But then I fixed that, hopefully. Yeah, and then all of this was just, you need a reason to set down both types of ice. And this mechanism came out of that, and that's the whole level. Right, yeah, I haven't mentioned it, but I've used this locking mechanism in a few levels. This is just to prevent throwing a rock in and out, because it goes around a corner in both directions, and if you try to do that, you just lose it in the water. Alright, Ice Keep. Again, this was a pretty early level built, I think maybe 4th or so, somewhere around there. Concept was, yeah, you just have an exit that's in the middle of a lake, and you have to use ice to bridge to it, and that was pretty much it. The rest was just doodling and figuring out how you do that. Frozen Lake, I wanted to use ice as the main floor tile, and actually, the original kernel of the idea before ice as floor tile was I wanted to demonstrate that a fire rock will melt ground ice, and give a reason for that to be both bad and good. Then from that, the idea occurred that, okay, maybe all your floor is ice, so you gotta be real careful where you throw your rocks, because if they're on fire, then you're gonna lose them. And I guess additionally, the idea of like why it's important to step on tokens to toggle them. So yeah, the final important step is to toggle a token, the first important step is to toggle a token, and then you do it again in between. Yeah, so this is about token toggling and melting ice. And pillars, right, this was wind element introduction. Wind element, again, existed in Island Chain first, and I wanted to introduce it somehow. So just having to hit a faraway mechanism with a rock was necessary, and you needed some obstacle in between. Then this just became a little mechanism puzzle, as I was just doodling ideas to put obstacles in between here and here. And then this extra complexity was added for secret access purposes. And I guess I really wanted the second wind token in there to, use them for two different things, for elongating the the throw 2 different ways. So that's why that one was involved. Sanctum, yeah, just, I mean, pretty obvious what the concept was. Mess with, break door wiring, and it's pretty pure about that. That's just the thing that it does. It's a very, very pure level. Island Chain, first level built. Just playing with my elements. Just wanted to put them together into something that works as a puzzle. So yeah, that was the concept of this. Just make a puzzle with these elements that I'd decided on. There are no crumbly walls in here because they didn't exist in the game at the time. Did anything else not exist at that time? Torches. Torches didn't exist. Scrolls didn't exist. Yeah, there are none of those here. Ice floor, yeah, I mean that had to exist because this involves it. Didn't happen to put any pits in here just because they didn't seem to fit the level. Anyway. So chilled, right, yeah, last level built was supposed to be a final boss. Already went over the core concepts. So Windrock snuffs out Torch. Torch heats up Rock by 1 step at a time. And then the final secret access. And then last one, Trapdoor. I just wanted to build a level out of all trapdoors. I wanted this to look very threatening. And then, after looking threatening, just kind of fall apart if you do the sensible thing. Yeah, so threatening level that's more bark than bite. And yeah, just wanted another striking visual. Something that would look like, a final secret. And I think this fits the role. Anyway, yeah, so that's all the levels in the game. Very proud of these. I could design so many more levels for this game, even without adding more mechanics. There's a few mechanics I might think about adding. Oh, so let's talk about one little nuance I did have to change. So if you somehow get your hands on an earlier version of this game, let's see, where can I demonstrate this? I think I can do it can I do it in Frozen Lake? The geometry of the game kind of forbids this. Yeah, no, that's why I added this. That's why I added that extra thing in Ice Keep. I remembered the purpose of those trapdoors was to make it less likely that you will accidentally do this. Throw a rock, have it gain ice power, follow directly behind it, and step in the space where it will create an ice barrier. So what do you suppose will happen when I step here? In an older version of the game, I would step here and I would be standing inside an ice barrier and still able to move. In this version, I changed it so that the rock just loses its power. So the player essentially catches the rock and it just falls on the ground inert. So yeah, if I move 1 step less, that turns into barrier that's impassable. Same deal applies with fire rock melting ice. I think I prevented all cases where you can do that, but in case you're curious, the mechanic is the rock will be prevented from melting the ice, and you will be standing on ice with a rock, an inert rock under you. So that was how that happened. Anyway, yeah, so I think that's a thorough enough look at all the levels in the game, and yeah, I'd love to talk more about level design while actually doing it. I absolutely, 100% expect to build more levels for this game. Whatever form that takes, some sort of expansion to the game, some sort of level editor version, some sort of sequel, something like that, whatever form that takes, definitely going to build more levels for this, because there's lots of untapped potential, I think, and I had a great time building the levels for this and would love to make more. So, yeah, I'll see you next time for probably a close look at the graphics and maybe the sound at the same time, depending on how long that ends up taking. I'm going to do a deep dive on both of them, and I don't know what order. I don't know if I'll do them better. I probably have a lot more to say about sound than about the visuals. So yeah, maybe I'll try doing the visuals episode, see how long it is. If it's 5 minutes, then we can also do the sound at the same time. Anyway, I'll see you then for that.